Roma Buchanan here, and I'm going to do a short tool demo. I'd like to let you know that every time you see a video icon by a tool, you'll know that a little tool demo is available. I want you to be safe. Be sure to tie your hair back, wear eye protection, make sure you've got good light, and you want a stable and durable work surface. I think we're ready to go. Let's grab some tools and get going. Hi, today we're going to talk about the disc cutter. The disc cutter cuts out circles out of metal and plastics. Here is what's left when you do some circle cutting. Here's an example of the circle that's been cut, stamped, and domed. Here's one in silver. So now you kind of know what these tools do. It's called a disc cutter, and they come in 3 different sizes. Let's talk about the anatomy of a disc cutter. I'm going to talk about the biggest one because it's easiest to see on camera. This is my big disc cutter. It cuts a 1-inch disc. The disc cutter is comprised of a block body, which holds the cylinders, and the cutting posts. The cutting posts have 2 distinct areas. The top, which you hammer, which is beveled. The bottom, that is sharply and precision machined, which is the cutting edge. The cutting edge always goes down onto your metal. Never accidentally have your cutting edge facing the top because you will damage your machined edge. It's always important that you are certain that you're hammering the beveled edge. When you do a disc, when you cut out a disc, you only use that one disc, only one disc is engaged into the block body that you're going to use. All the other cutting cylinders will be set aside and be waiting their turn when you want to do a size like this. Let's go ahead and cut out a disc.
2, 3.
Okay, let's go ahead and cut an actual disc. I'm going to use this brass sheet. It is 24 gauge. I have already cut out an example as starting out, so just you can kind of see what this looks like. We're going to use this cutting hole in the block. Here's the slot for us to slip our metal into when we're ready. This is the cutting punch that corresponds with the cylinder hole. And it's so important that you see that the rounded edge is much different looking than the machined edge. See how sharp that looks? It's almost like a knife edge. That's going to be your cutting edge that goes onto the metal. This rounded portion will always be the one that will receive the hammer. So let's go ahead and use our sheet metal. Now I've discovered, for me, I like to have a place to aim for. So once I have my sheet into position, I'll just lay it there and I'll take a Sharpie and I'll put a little mark right there. It's kind of like something for me to aim for, and I look down in there and make sure I'm aligned. That looks good. And when you put your cutting punch down onto the metal, you want to apply continuous pressure. It has to be relatively strong pressure. If you would not do pressure, your cutting cylinder will bounce around and damage your metal. So you want a nice clean cut, and this is achieved by applying continuous pressure. Now you're going to take, I have a 4-ounce ball peen hammer, and you notice how the cutting cylinder dropped down. That was an indication that we have achieved a cutting already. So there we look. It pooped out a little disc. How fun. Now, in order to get this cutting cylinder out, I'm going to have to elevate this on a couple of blocks. You can use wood, books, anything. I'm going to hold it here, and I have this little, you can use a dowel rod, anything to tap it through. Don't use any of the other cylinders because you just want to use some wood. Just tap it through gently, and boop, out came your cutting cylinder, and there's your piece that you used. And let's examine. See, we've got our little bullseye on here, and let's quickly see what we can do. We can also cut a crescent moon. How in the world are you going to do that? Ooh. Here's another little trick. You're going to slip your disc into the slot and just push it in there so part of the disc shows. Part of the disc shows. And then what you're going to do is take a little piece of wire or coat hanger or something skinny and push it in a little bit further until you think, okay, if I cut away that much, I'll have a nice moon. And I'll take my cutting punch. Remember, sharp side to the metal, rounded side to the hammer. I'm going to press that down. Continuous pressure. Whoops. Look at that. Is that not cute as can be? Same process. Since you don't have a bigger piece of metal here, it doesn't hold it in quite. There you go. And that's how you use a disc cutter. And then you have all these fun little things. And you can save quite a bit of money. Just buy your own sheet and cut these out. Cool.